everybody, it's Justin from Big Red Hunters here. So we're going to do a series about preparation for deer season and what you do to get ready and how to be successful. So I'm going to cover the first segment of what we're going to cover, and that is as far as deer traction and where they're going. So trying to figure out where to align yourself, where the deer are moving, how to put yourself in the good spot and get your stand to where you need to be. So first thing that I do as far as trying to figure out where the deer are moving is during the summer, about maybe end of June, July, beginning of July, I try to put out some salt blocks. I know some people have different opinions to that, but one, if you can put some salt blocks out and have a camera on the salt blocks, then you know you're going to capture deer there, one, and two, you're going to figure out what kind of deer are going there, because you're going to get some good photos as far as the salt block's going to get the deer to stop for a few minutes. Now, of course, when August comes around, mid-August, you got to take those up if they're remaining, or if they're gone, then don't put anything else down, because you want to make sure a couple weeks before season you do not have any kind of attractant down there as far as food, corn, blocks, anything like that, because that's illegal. Plus, what's the fun in having an attractant down there and killing the deer over that? There's no fun in that. So that's the first thing I do. One, trying to utilize the trail cameras and the salt blocks to figure out where they're going. Two, if you can scout the land, if you're not familiar with the land, you need to scout the land to figure out, one, where's your food plots at, your natural food plots if you're on a farm, or you got corn, soybeans. Two, if you got both on there, pay attention maybe to where the corn's at, because the corn is what they're going to be utilizing later in the season. Early season they might utilize the soybeans, but most likely they're going to stick to the corn at some point. Two, if the corn is up, and depending on when the farmers harvest the corn, if you are a bow hunter and go early season and the corn is still up, then one, know that they're going to utilize that corn as far as bedding. It's the perfect grounds for them because they've got the cover they need, and then two, they've got the food right there. They're lazy. Deer, believe it or not, are not very good at keeping around and moving. If they can stay in one spot, they're going to stay. So if they got the food, the water near them, everything, realize that maybe if you set up on the outside of the corn, they're going to come out at some point, but they're going to probably stick around in there. Two, if you got a spot in between where you can tell they're bedding and the food, then you're going to want to sit yourself in between there. Another thing to look for if you're walking around and scouting the land is, one, you can see where the game trails are. If you got tall grass, then you're going to be able to determine, okay, these deer are utilizing this trail periodically because you got a nice defined trail in this tall grass. So you're going to know if you go there, typically there's going to be deer there continuing to go in that spot. Early season, I always say you can try to look and get a pattern on the bucks, but as soon as it gets later season, the bucks are going to change their pattern up. So if you can, early season, I like to try to get the pattern on the does, because when it comes rutting season later in the season, the bucks are going to go where the does are at. So that's what I try to do, is stick to the pattern of the does, but of course I'm trying to figure out as well what's out there for bucks, and then keep an eye on where they're going from early season to late season. Sometimes in the early season you can still stick to their patterns where you're catching them in the summer, end of the summer, and then that's what if you can catch them early season, then you're going to get yourself hopefully a velvet buck. So what else I do to try to determine what they're utilizing, I talked about the food, you talked about maybe some bedding areas and trails that they're utilizing, but also we want to talk about water. So if you can find a water source, then that's another area that they're going to go to. Early morning, I've seen them go to water first, I've seen them go to food first. So if you can get an idea of both spots at least, and try to set up a neutral ladder stand, then you're putting yourself in a good spot. As far as it goes too early season, instead of just relying on cameras as well, You can go out there around nighttime when the sun's setting and try to get an idea and a visual of where they're at, and then keep your eyes on where they go from, I don't know, 30 minutes before sunset and then afterwards, just watching, scouting from there. So changing different directions, different nights. Do anything you can to get out there as much as possible to scout. So just like birds, scouting for deer is very important and something that you want to maintain and try to get a pattern. If you don't got a pattern, then it's pretty much a shoot in the dark. Deer are not as predictable necessarily as what birds can be, but for the most part you still want to have that pattern, still understand where they're bedding at, where their food plot's at, where the water's at. Get an idea of all the movements in different parts so you can set yourself up to be successful. So this concludes the first segment, and I hope you guys have a great day. Got some big news coming up here in a couple days. BRH Nation, we really appreciate you and look forward to continuing this series. Let me know in the comments if you've got some different tips that I maybe missed out on. Look forward to hearing those and learning from you as well. So I know this is kind of geared towards beginner hunters. For the most mature hunters out there, you already know this, but this is stuff that I've learned over the years. So look forward to hearing your comments, and talk to you later. Bye.